comes to dealing with ministry to people, would you rather have a polished oratory skill or some street smarts? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of the Torah portion of Vayetzi. And he went out. Let's continue now in the book of Bereshit, chapter number 28. And we began yesterday in verse 10, so let's go back there and then read down a little further. Yaakov went out from Beersheba and went toward Charan, and he came upon a place and stopped over for the night, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed and saw a ladder set up on the earth, and its top reached to the heavens. And he saw messengers of Elohim going up and coming down on it. And so Yahweh stood above it and said, I am Yahweh, Elohim of Avraham your father, and the Elohim of Yitzchak. The land on which you are lying, I give it to you and to your seed. That is the Bechira. The Bechira is the covenant blessing that you are the continuance of the seed. The promised one will come from your loins, and also you inherit the land. Only Yah can give this blessing, and he gives it to Yaakov. And he says, and your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall break forth to the west, to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And all the clans of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your seed. This is a continuing of the blessing given to Abraham in chapter number 12. Verse 15, and see, I am with you, and shall guard you wherever you go, and shall bring you back to this land, for I am not going to leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. What does that mean? That means that Yah is going to see him through this entire process that he is about to go into. Now, yesterday we asked some questions. Why? Why do certain things happen? Let's tackle one of those questions today. And that question is there some character difference between father and son, between Yitzchak and Yaakov, that enables Yaakov to prevail where Yitzchak was not even allowed to try? Now, let's just go back a little bit and remember that Avraham was seeking a wife for Yitzchak, and he sent his servant to represent him in this search. The servant says, should I ever take Yitzchak back there if the bride doesn't want to come here? Under no circumstances, by no means, don't you ever take Yitzchak back there. Why? And the question why continues in that Esau received a secondary blessing but is allowed to stay home. Yaakov received the primary blessing and is told to leave town. Should that not have been the reverse, since Yaakov received the bigger blessing, the more prominent blessing, the blessing of the firstborn? Esau, you need to pack your bags and go somewhere else. But it didn't work that way. Ishmael was sent away. Esau's allowed to stay. It just doesn't make sense. So we ask the question, why? Was there something that was lacking in Yitzchak about going to Charan that Yaakov possessed and was able to go? Let's think about this. I'm sharing my thoughts here, so I'm not declaring a doctrine, okay? That's very important. I'm not declaring doctrine here. This is my thoughts and insights on this matter. Yitzchak was raised primarily by Avraham and Sarah, two great tzaddiks, T-Z-A-D-D-I-K, the plural form Zedekim. The word tzaddik references one who has great maturity and righteousness in their walk. They are seasoned veterans in righteousness. They walk at a high level, and they have the propensity and the ability to lay hands on and bless someone else. These are not rookies. Yitzchak was raised in such an environment. Ishmael was sent away when Yitzchak was just a young boy, just weaned from his mother. So he'd have been about 4, maybe 5 years old. The majority of his life then has been lived in perhaps a heightened spiritual arena. Perhaps Yitzchak has not been exposed to those that are crafty and shrewd, beguiling, manipulating. It would have been dangerous for him to perhaps go back to Charan, where his family line is, and deal with that particular family. Yaakov, on the other hand, has been raised with Esau, who is all of those things: beguiling, shrewd, crafty, manipulating, controlling, intimidating, and the list can go on. So he had a bit of experience in dealing with the Esau types. His uncle Laban, he's going to find out, is Esau perhaps even more aggressively and more shrewdly, in a more beguiling, intimidating manner. So he has some sense of experience to recognize this. Yitzchak, I don't want to call him naive. He just lacks the experience. I know what this is like. I was raised in a righteous home with praying parents who were every day of the week what they presented themselves to be in church on Sunday. And so when I went into ministry, I had some eye-opening experiences. Not all pastors that I preached for as an evangelist were somebody I wanted to model my life after. I worked on staff for one that I would call a Lavan, very close to Esau, controlling, intimidating, beguiling, not really all that he should have been. It was a very eye-opening, world-changing, maturing situation. After that, I went into several pastorates. And again, time after time, I had my eyes opened. And I had to learn about people and their types and their plays and their game plans and their shrewd maneuvers. I had to do more politics than what I could stomach. In the Hebraic roots movement, it's all fixed. No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. So again, you have to be on your toes. Yaakov was sent by Yah as much as by his parents because he needed refining. Here's the clue. Israel was inside of Yaakov, but there was too much Yaakov in control, in presence, in authority, and it kept Israel buried deep. Yaakov, the man, had to be refined and challenged. He had to be whittled down to size to some degree. He had to learn servant-heartedness, servitude. He needed to go through some times of sufferings. He had to learn to stand up for himself and fight back. He had to recognize the variety of the bride. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But the bride is multifaceted. It's not contained in one personality. And he had to come to a place of learning to love both, or all, as the case would be. There was a point in time coming then where Yaakov would be broken and humbled and brought to a place of humility enough that Israel could finally come forth. I don't know that Yitzchak, with his previous life experience, would have been able to handle that. For Yaakov was the right choice, and Israel's in there. Israel's in you. Are you willing to go through the process, through the struggle, through the testing, through the time required, and deal with the people and overcome and prevail enough to allow the spirit, the heart, and the identity of Israel to rise up and take precedence in your life. More tomorrow. Until then, shalom.